everybody, this is Alessandro. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share a couple of advice on how to improve your camera animation, and we're going to look at a couple of scenarios: camera shake and a 360-degree camera motion. All right. In this first scenario here, you're going to see that the character here, this simple box here, is basically landing towards the camera, right? And because of the impact of the landing, we are going to shake the camera and try to make it in a more interesting way and not looking too abrupt, not too soft, or just too robotic, all right? So normally a classic mistake I see people do is that when they do camera shake, they tend to work only on one axis. So they go down here, they go maybe up here, right? And they go maybe down here, and that's all, right? So when you play this one, it's gonna look extremely robotic, very stiff, and not interesting at all, right? So it's okay to start with the camera going down first to the extreme point of the up and down here. Usually it happens every 3 frames, all right? We go here, then maybe we can go back up, okay? And then maybe another one here. All right, 4 or maybe 5, okay? Important things as soon as we go here is that we're going to flatten the curve because we want to make sure it's very nice and smooth. And we're going to start to look at how this is working. Boom. I feel like normally we can have an extra frame here, right? If you really want, you can have another very, very small here at the end, okay? So it's very important when you do guys camera shake that the intensity always gets smaller and smaller, all right? Now, obviously, we just started with the x-axis, but that's not it because, camera don't just move up and down in one axis. It's important to have extra rotation or extra movement here, right? So what I like to do sometimes is work with the up and down as well, okay? Gonna do a little bit of this down here and up here, okay? Again, we're gonna go back in the graph editor. And again, same things I'm doing as before. Want to make sure the kind of energy dissipate very, very quickly. All right. Now, the other things I want to do when I do this kind of up and down movement is that I do not want it to move at the same timing of the rotation. So I like the down position, okay, the transition to start up in a frame early, right? And maybe here can be at the same time, then here can be a frame later, and here can be 1 and 2 frame later, okay? So again, I like to offset things because that's what makes the camera less robotic, okay? But this is obviously just the beginning, guys. Now, another thing that you might notice that the character is coming from left screen towards to the right. So another thing that I like to do is to move the cameras sideways a little bit. And so what I'm gonna do here, again, I don't wanna move it at the same time, so the side movement is gonna be less sharp, in my opinion. So I'm gonna move it a little bit more here, maybe a little bit more here. I know it's going back because of the because of this one, because of the previous keys that I just set. Flatten up here, right? And maybe again here, we're gonna move it around here and flatten it, right? And again, gonna go back here now and take a look how things are looking, right? Not that much, you can barely see what's going on, so I think like we are not exaggerating enough, and I wanna push it a lot more, actually, okay? Maybe if we push like this, then this one could be like this, okay? Now I think that we can smooth it out a little bit here, the rotation as well, maybe. Another things you can also do, having a little bit of a shake here on this axis, okay? Because when you're landing like here, I will expect the camera to tilt a little bit more here, and then again, maybe tilt it back, okay? And then maybe again here, right? I think this could happen kind of here. And again, I'd never wanted to go back always to the same point. I always wanted the energy to dissipate, because that's when it starts to look very mechanical and very springy. Okay. Okay, guys, so more or less, those are the kind of knowledge that I want to share with you. Basically, what I want you to take away from this one is that when you shake the camera, it's never just on one axis, but involves multiple axes with different timing, different offset for each axis and different motion, and try also to keep in mind the direction of where the character is jumping and landing, because it can affect how the camera moves. The camera just doesn't just shake up and down, it involves translation, rotation, and I want to leave it up to you now to take this knowledge and explore a lot more when you're doing a camera shake, right? There is different combination, different things you can try. At the end of the day, you need to see what it feels correct for your scene. This is just an example. There are plenty of other ways to do camera shake, and it also depends on the intensity of the action, right? Not every camera shake should be done in this way. So in this second example, we're gonna take a look at the 360-degree camera roll around a character, right? Most of the time people will do just a very simple motion like this when the camera go in circle, all right? In my opinion, there is a better way to do this one. In this example, we're gonna take a look at the camera going around, but with some easy in, easy out, and every time it's punching in, because it's making the overall timing a lot more interesting, and there is a lot more contrast, first of all, right? And we're also gonna take a look how to make this kind of motion in the simplest way as possible. But before, I want to talk a very simple mistake that I also used to do at the beginning when I wanted to do a camera 360, right? So basically what I was doing, and I feel very silly right now, but I can tell you guys how hard I was trying to do this one, where I have the character like here, right? The camera like here, right? And I know I wanted to do some kind of a circle, so I will go here, then I'll put the other frame around here, more or less, right? Then I will go, here behind, then I will go here, and so on. You're getting the idea, right? We don't need to complete the full 360 degree. So obviously, now I go here, maybe, normally you spline the things here, first of all, depending of the case. Then you take a look at the arc, and it looked like a mess, right? And so either way, I was trying to adjusting it like here, right? And I need to adjust the rotation. Anyway, guys, really a lot of work, as you can imagine, because before you can make a perfect circle, there is a lot of time you can waste. You could create a spline and let the camera go around the spline, but I feel like it never gives me a lot of control in terms of animation. So my opinion, the best way to do this one is just to have a camera with 3 controllers. So by default, the 3 controllers will look like this. Put the main controller here, you put the second controller further away, and now with a simple rotation here, the camera will make a simple circle, right? And now because basically you have like one single, track to animate here, is a lot easier to make the easy in, easy out, or whatever you want to do. Whenever you want to adjust the timing, you can do whatever you want, right? So how did I create this second one over here where the character is going like this, right? So now if you understand the tree that I'm using, it's basically very, very simple. All right, I'm gonna go by layer by deactivating here the animation. I'm gonna mute all, right? And so as you can imagine, I started with this one. I start very simple with this one. If we take a look at the graph editor, I just animated one axis, and I did this one, the acceleration. No, accelerate here, decelerate, accelerate again, and almost come to a stop. All right, this one will depend on what you're trying to do. If you want it to be linear or more come to a stop, this entirely depends what you're trying to create, right? But once it's done, you have something like this, and that's the first things I really wanted to have. So I wanted to know how long I wanted to hold the moment every time the part goes slow, how fast I wanted to go here, in how many frames, how slow it goes here, how fast here, and also how much the degree there is the rotation, right? You can do as much as you want here. It's all about exploration. It's all about the intention that you try to convey, and you go from there, right? Because again, same for the previous tutorial, can be done in many other different ways. Once this is done, and again, as you can see, I only animated one axis. The second things I did, let me unmute all here. right, I move this one. If I go in parent, I move this one only towards the z-axis, and the principle is kind of the same because it's the same easy in, easy out that I've done for the other controller. The principle is kind of the same. It's just as at the beginning doesn't move at all, it's flat. You accelerate with a simple easy in, easy out. If you want, you can make it better if you prefer, right? Flat and so on, right? And again, important things in that in this case, these two things move exactly at the same time. If you try to offset it, it's not gonna look very nice. You're gonna have some weird jittering moment that it doesn't look very appealing, right? If you try to, yeah, you can feel like the camera, the way it stops is very abrupt. So definitely, I don't recommend it in this case to offset it. Maybe there is a way to make it work, but for the sake of this tutorial, I think this was more than enough. And once you create this very simple setup, there is a lot of things that you can explore that can be done in the easiest way. Let me give you some example here. You see, like now maybe I want to have the camera going really high here, right? And I want to make sure again that for the first part here, it's kind of flat as we talk about it, right? So I'm gonna go back here, right? And make sure that this is gonna stay, actually no, I need to, sorry, yeah, here first. I'm gonna go back here and make sure this is flat, right? Then here there is an acceleration, right? Boom, boom, stay like this. And then maybe here, I wanna go lower with the camera, right? I wanna really go down here because basically I'm changing the perspective of the action here. I'm going more from a down position of the camera to an upward, right? And now you can see with a few clicks, I change the intention of the shot, right? Because we are going from a down shot here to a same level and to an up shot, right? And again, you can make this one with a very few clicks because I always do believe that you can make complicated camera movement with simple keyframe, right? You don't have to overdo it, right? Sure, can add complexity later. You can add shake, whatever you want, some side movement, a little offset here. You can use this little controller to do extra, but those are extra. I always think about it. The main camera movement can be done with some decent timing and decent choreography with just a few keys. You should never over exaggerate it, except few weird cases, right? This last one, guys, I'm gonna go very, very fast about it because it's extremely simple but very effective. Classic mistake that people do is when a character is moving left to right, the camera is moving exactly at the same time of the character because they feel like they want to keep the character always in frame, and that's the correct way to do. No, that's not the right way to do it because normally camera always move couple of frames behind the action. Remember that behind every camera there is a human being looking at the action, and so the reaction time of that person is going to be always slower than the actor or whoever is going to perform the action, right? And as you can see, it's just about offsetting a little bit the framing here, and here also at the end I wanted to do a very quick zoom to make things a little bit more interesting and reframe better the camera. As you can see, I also had some handheld motion to make the camera a little bit more live action, a little bit more. But overall, the takeaway that you need to get from this one is that absolutely camera should never move at the same times with the character. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little advice and see you next time, guys. Ciao.